Hi, welcome to Dreamcatcher, the program where you can find peace through understanding, dreams, and visions. I'm Robin Hardin. My guest today, Kaden Cooke, finds out that when he goes to sleep at night, things are just getting started. He's either flying around the room or waking up paralyzed. I'm not sure what's going on there. I have an idea. See what you think. And a little later in the program, Bill Woodson has a word of encouragement for us. Hi, welcome back to another episode of Dreamcatcher. I am so excited about my guest, a young man named Kaden Cooke. I just met him not very long ago, a couple days ago, and he told me just enough to intrigue me. So I am really anxious to see what he's going to say. Wow, God's really talking to you.
Yeah, I guess when I started to build my relationship with Jesus, that's when I've been just filled with so many dreams and these experiences, you know.
They say everybody dreams, but just from the little bit, we didn't talk 3 minutes maybe, I believe you're having supernatural experiences. And, you know, people need to know that you don't have to be 40 to hear from the Lord, and you're a good example of that.
So, if I describe, I'm going to call it sleep paralysis, but, you know, recently I realized, I don't think I'm awake during the sleep paralysis. I'm pretty sure I'm in a dream, dreaming about having sleep paralysis. The first time I got it was actually a couple years ago, and I was laying on my chest, the only time I've had it on my chest, and I could just feel a presence behind me. I was laying down and I could just only see a pillow, I couldn't see anything.
Right.
And I felt someone was standing behind me. This is the only, one of the only times I felt like it was kind of like a nightmare.
Yeah, not a good presence.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So I could feel the presence behind me, and I felt like they started to walk up to me and shot me with a taser, and my whole body was shaking, vibrating, and I'm all freaked out. And then it felt like 10-15 seconds that was happening, and then I just woke up, and I was scared, I was freaked out, it felt like a nightmare. So that was a couple years ago, and then ever since then I didn't have sleep paralysis for a long time, and probably until a couple months ago I woke up and I was like, oh my gosh, I have sleep paralysis right now. I was just laying in bed and I'm like, wow, this is crazy, and I'm kind of trying to shake myself out of it because I don't really like it, and then all of a sudden it looks like I'm not moving at all, but I start sitting up, and I could see the perspective of me sitting up and seeing my entire room instead of just my roof. It felt like I was just sitting up, and then I got so freaked out that I just had to shake myself out of it, and then I woke up and I was laying down again. So I don't think I was ever even moving. I just felt I was dreaming that I was sitting up.
That she was sitting up.
Yeah.
From what I understand, and I haven't really studied sleep paralysis, but from what I understand, that is something our body naturally does when we're dreaming. So that if I'm dreaming that I'm running, my feet aren't moving the whole time, or whatever it is that we're doing. But most of us don't realize we're in sleep paralysis because we're asleep. But you're waking up, or you feel like you're waking up. And I believe that this is a different level, and I think you're seeing in the spirit world in your sleep. Because you're asleep, but you're kind of aware. And we know that can be because Daniel did it. Daniel had conversation with the Lord in his sleep. He would say, who is this man? Who is this person? Who is another person, Laban? They were talking about the sheep and the speckled sheep, and he talks to the Lord in his dreams. So if these are just people, even though we read about them in the Word, they're people like us. So if they can do it, we can do it. And it's really interesting that you can do it so young, because I feel like that the Lord is really preparing you to really minister to you in dreams. Now we know he talks to people in dreams, and a lot of people hear his voice in dreams, but some people get fantastic inventions and ideas in their dreams. And that's what you have to be awake enough or aware enough in your dream for that to happen. And I think that's what's happening with you. If I'm having a dream in my sleep that I know is from the Lord, and I know it's symbolic, not necessarily reality, but symbolic, I've gotten to where I can pray in my sleep, Lord, I know that there's a signal here. I know there's a message. What are you trying to tell me? And I'll ask him to give it to me so that when I wake up, I don't forget it. And I've had to kind of learn to do that, but I think you are already doing that. I think you have enough control in your sleep that you'll be able to talk to the Lord, to respond, not just to receive. Usually when you dream, you're just receiving. But if the guys in the Bible could have a conversation with the Lord while sleeping, so can we. And I believe that's what you're doing.
Wow.
And because of that, you're probably going to learn to understand your dreams faster than some people too. Because if he's going to talk to you a lot and often and about deep things, he needs you to know what he's saying. When you have a dream, how does that, first of all, does it remind you of a scripture? Is there a certain scripture that comes to mind when you think of it? Or is there a situation that someone in the Bible went through and this kind of reminds you of that? Kind of start with that. And then as you learn, there are certain symbols in the Bible that mean certain things. Well, if it meant, for instance, red, the color red, can be the blood of Jesus. But it can also be sin, because our sin is red, scarlet. So you have to learn to determine which it is, and you ask Holy Spirit, because the Word says if we ask Holy Spirit, He'll teach us, He'll tell us.
Yeah.
But I think your spirit already knows this, and what we're going to do today is help your brain connect to your spirit, because when you dream from the Lord, He's spirit, and He's talking to your spirit. And your brain, your soul, your emotions is the physical, where your spirit is the supernatural. And we're trying to get natural and supernatural lined up. Is all we're doing.
Yeah.
I don't know how other people see you. Yes. They see you for the problem or the thing that you have done, but God sees you differently. He is God. He is good. He is Jesus.
Join Pastor Johan at Love's Way Church, Sunday morning at 10 a.m. and Wednesday evening at 6:30 p.m.
Because normally I'm laying on my back, but this time I was laying on my side, and I remember opening my eyes, but I wasn't looking through my perspective. Because I remember after waking up that all I could see is a pillow and part of my wall. But in the sleep paralysis, I could see my entire room as if I was maybe even standing on the side of my bed and I could see my whole room, or I was like maybe sitting up. And I'm like, wow, how, like, so, and I didn't realize that I was not looking through my perspective.
Yeah.
But like after a little while, I'm like, maybe this time I won't try to wake myself up and I'll just, see what happens.
Right.
I just get a flash, like almost as if I just was in reality, and then I just went straight into a dream. And I could see, I can't remember all the details, but it was mostly all white, but I could kind of see some shapes that were like kind of black, like outlined. It was so fast that I can't really describe a lot of it. I wish I could. But then after maybe like 5 seconds, I go back to reality and I'm back seeing my room. And then a few more seconds go by and I'm back to that other world. And then it's switching back and forth. And then it starts to speed up, almost like it's flickering. It's going like super fast, switching back and forth. And then I wake up and I'm like, wow, I gotta write that down. That was crazy. And I remember the next night after I went to sleep, I had a dream I was at church and I saw Luca. And I walk up to him, and he's just standing in the middle of the rows, and I describe all of those details that I just described to you, like everything, like exactly, basically. And then he's like, oh, wow, that's so interesting. And after I explain it to him, I just wake up, and I'm like, wow, I just had a dream, and then I was in a dream and told someone about their dream.
Yeah. What's happening is, in the Word, they talk about dreams, which are things we have at night, but they also talk about night visions. And I believe you're having night visions because you're not asleep. You're like you say, you're seeing your room in a different perspective.
Yeah.
And right now, they don't seem to be very important things. They're just mundane things. Oh, I talked to Luca. This is how the Lord started with me. I would have things that would happen, and I would either dream it, or I would remember it, like we would be eating dinner, and I knew what everyone was going to say before they said it. I knew the conversation. And I thought, but what good does that, how does that help me? What he's doing is he's just letting you know that he is talking to you. It is him. Those little realities and those things, he's giving you a peek into the spirit world, and I believe your brain is fighting with your spirit, like, wait, that can't be, because we're going to wrestle with our flesh forever. And so your brain is slowly going, wait, that can't be right. But then you make yourself go, wait, I'm going to try to stay awake. So I think what you're dealing with is our natural knowledge going, oh, this can't be right. But your supernatural knowledge is going, yeah, there is another world here. And the spirit world is more real than what we see in the natural. And your brain and your soul and your spirit are doing like Paul talked about, that wrestling with the flesh. You're trying to figure out what is. And so I would suggest when you go to sleep, before you go to sleep, when you pray, Lord, help me to not fight it. I don't want to fight it. I want to receive it, if it's from you. Because the devil can enter our dreams as well. But because of the feelings of peace that you're having, I would say that's not the enemy. And you'll notice that as you are able to, like you say, let me stay awake, let me stay in this, or not wake up, let me stay in this, you'll learn to kind of control that. And as your brain catches up and receives it, the messages will be more direct. They'll be more like, the dream will be you telling someone in church something that needs to happen. Right now it's just conversation.
Yeah.
But he's testing you. He's letting you catch up with what he has for you. And he's training you. You're in training.
We're coming to you live from down here in Lebanon, where the miracles of God's working just for you. All we want is to let you know that there's hope. There's hope for you. I know you've been drugged through, what we're all thinking when I say that, backwards, not knowing what's going on. But God's got a plan for you. And we're here to help you find out what that is. And sometimes it's just the most simplest of words, like peace. Be content. God's got this. God's got you. Remember, you're right there in God's hand. He has never left you. He is not going to forsake you. And He's going to perform His will in you. See you next time. We love you. Catch your dream.
So in the last dream that I had about like where I was in sleep paralysis, this time I actually did reach out to God.
Good.
I was trying. So let me explain. So I wake up and I think I'm awake. I don't think I actually was.
Yeah.
I was in sleep paralysis and I could see my roof, like it was looking through my normal perspective.
Okay.
And I just got this incredible feeling of like taking off in a fast car, where you can like feel the G-forces. You're like, whoa, and then it would go and stop. Probably that happened like 3 or 4 times, and then I just start ascending. I just start like I'm in my bed and I start ascending to my ceiling, and I'm floating. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And then I instantly think, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to heaven right now. That's what I was thinking. Oh my gosh, am I going to heaven?
Yeah.
So I was freaking out a little bit. I was a little scared this time because I'm just all of a sudden floating in my room. So of course I'm going to be a little scared.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, God, is this you? Are you trying to show me something? That's what I say to Him.
Yes.
Lord, are you trying to show me something? But I don't get an answer.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting and it was probably maybe 15 seconds that I'm hovering like near my roof because I stop once I get to my roof, and I'm just waiting, and then all of a sudden I get like flown across the room, and then I'm on the other side of my room, and I stop. Like, I have no control. I can see my arms hanging, like I'm in sleep paralysis still. I have no control whatsoever. And I get like flown across the room, and I stop, and I can see my whole room again. Like, it's so crazy that I can see my whole room from that perspective. Like, it looks just like how it is. And then it happens like 3 more times where I get flown across the room and stop for a few seconds, then flown across the room and I stop. And I have no idea what's going on. Like, I'm a little scared because I have no control.
But you feel the sensation of floating, don't you? And moving, right, while you're doing it.
Yes, I can feel it so much. Like, it's not like my body doesn't feel anything. Like, I feel like I'm moving, like I'm flying. And then after a little while, I wake up and I'm back in sleep paralysis in my bed.
Yeah.
So, like, I still can't move. I'm in sleep paralysis and I'm back in my normal perspective. And I hear and feel this, like, bang. Like the room shakes, and I can hear it, and I could, see the shaking, and I see like Luca's face kind of like flash across my eyes, like I could kind of sense his presence. And after that happens, I wake up again for the 3rd time in sleep paralysis, and then after maybe like 5 seconds, I kind of shake out of it, and then I'm awake, and then I check my phone, and it's like 1 a.m., and I'm like, man, so I was in sleep paralysis, I wake up, I'm in sleep paralysis again, I wake up, I'm in sleep paralysis, and then I'm finally up.
I think you're having the experience of God is moving your spirit, and you're awake enough that you're aware of it, your spirit's awake. But then when you say, then I finally woke up, I think that's when you actually are awake, like what we use the word awake.
Do you think it's kind of weird that, like, while I was hovering, like, I could see my bed, but I couldn't see my body? Like, it felt like my whole body was...
Because I don't think this is like a near-death experience where they look down and they see their body. I think God is moving you in the spirit world, and He's getting you used to that feeling. You didn't go anywhere fancy. You went around your room.
Yeah.
He is really preparing you. I believe your spirit is going somewhere with the Lord, and that's why when you look down you don't see you, because it's not a near-death experience. I believe you're seeing in the spirit world, and the Bible talks about being translated, meaning you're here 1 minute and He takes you somewhere else. I think He's preparing you to do that in the spirit world. He's preparing you for what He has, and if he did it all at once, it would be very scary. I mean, it's already a little unnerving.
Yeah, like that time I was freaking out.
Yeah, because like what's going on?
Yeah,
because that's your brain. When you're asleep, your brain's still working, so your brain is trying to figure out what your spirit is going. Your spirit knows. Your spirit's got it. It's your brain that's going, wait a minute, we can't do this, we can't. And He's just catching it all up. He's just getting it all lined up together. There's so much about this world that we can't explain and we don't know.
Yeah.
But if it happened in the Word, it can happen. If it can happen to Paul, it can happen to Kaden. I mean, it's really that simple.
Yeah.
And you have to be open to believe it, because if you don't, He's not going to give it to you. You know, it's just like faith. He gives you a little bit, and you're a good steward with it. Then He gives you something else, and you're a good steward with it. It's the same thing.
Because we just have to make ourselves available to Him.
Yeah, and if you're constantly going, oh, this can't happen, this isn't true, then it's not going to happen. And you're open to hear His word, and you're open that He's talking to me, and you're open to, like, I'm really moving. I wake up because your spirit is aware of it, and then you wake up later. That's why it's 2 different sensations. You even say, I wake up, but then I really wake up.
Yeah.
Because those are 2 different things that you're experiencing, which is to me what we read that Paul did.
Wow. You know, it's all dark, like there's just worship music playing, and I'm laying down and I'm just worshiping Him for the first half hour, and I hear my dad's voice like it is so incredibly clear. Like he was there right next to me, just speaking right into my ears, and I could hear it so clearly. Like he was having a conversation with someone, like he was talking about me. I'm like, wow. Like, I can't believe I could hear this so clearly.
Yeah.
It almost seemed like I was like kind of eavesdropping. Like I was just eavesdropping, like listening to him speak. And you know, I just kind of remember like maybe saying some things that were kind of judgeful, but I don't remember anything really that he said. And after a little while, I almost kind of start to like fall asleep, but I'm still awake. And I remember when I would close my eyes, and it was like I was in a dream, kind of, like, because I could walk around, like I was in this house, and then I walk out this door, and I could see like the world, but then I would open my eyes, and I'm still there. I can still feel everything. I'm still there. I would close my eyes again, and I'm back, and I'm in this dream again, and I'm walking around. I'm like, wow, whoa, this is crazy. And after a little while, I fell asleep, and so after I fell asleep, I had a dream, like while I fell asleep, that we were all kind of sitting at a table, and it's like I thought I woke up, and we were all getting ready to share our experiences, like what we saw and stuff, and everyone was going around, and they were explaining what they saw, and then I was trying to share what I saw, but I just broke down in tears, like I was crying so much, and I was just trying to compose myself so I could explain what I saw, and I just couldn't. Tears were just flowing out of my eyes, and I could not compose myself. And after felt like maybe a minute or two, I woke up, because Luca came and woke me up. He's like, all right, it's time to share your experiences. And I'm like,
I thought I just did. I tried to,
and then I get up, and then that's, I share my experience. And I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, you are definitely seeing and experiencing the spirit world. And it's just it's so awesome that it's someone so young, and you're doing the right thing. If you want to be an electrician, you hang out with electricians. If you want to move in the prophetic, if you want to move in the gift of healing, you hang out with people who do. I mean, it's just it's the right thing to do. And you're hanging out with people who have been vetted, people who the pastor trusts, people in a safe place, without people who don't understand and who are gonna think you're crazy.
Or might think that's demonic or something.
So you're doing the right thing, and you're going to see more maturity in it, because you are in a safe place and you can share, and iron sharpens iron. I mean, that's where we are. Iron sharpens iron, and that's what you're doing. It's just it's a different level than, as you know, just going to church and even being saved and loving the Lord and going home. He's preparing you for something bigger, and you're open to it, and you're sacrificing your time, you're sacrificing your sleep, you're showing him, yes, Lord, use me, and that's why he is. Because people watching this, especially young people, are going to say, how come Kaden and not me? And that's really what it's about. Kaden is making himself available to be used. And that's all God is looking for, is a willing vessel.
I should be in my word more. Like, it still feels like a chore to read the Bible.
I know.
But I know I need to be reading it every single day.
Well, because we still have the enemy in our head talking to us. And, we're going to have that always. Sometimes the answer is right there, like you say, and it's so clear. And sometimes you have to dig for it, and you have to wait on it, and you have to pray about it, and you feel like it's not there, and you have, the Lord showed you already safe faces in your dream. And the one time you're talking to Luca, another time his face is showing you that's just confirmation that this is a safe place to go and share. And the two of you together, I mean, that's why they talk about iron sharpening iron. The two of you together, you look something up and you talk it out, and if it bears witness with your spirit and it lines up with the word of the Lord, that's how we grow, that's how we learn.
And I also had another dream that I was in this big room, and I saw this lady sitting at a table, and I walk up to her, and she asked me, "Can you please pray for me? I need your help." And then I was like, oh, you should ask, like I look in the corner, I saw Luca, Isaiah, and Matt, and I was like, oh, you should ask one of them to pray for you. They're really good at it. And then she's like, no, I want you, please pray for me. And I was like, oh, wow, that's okay. And then so I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And I just get filled with passion. And I was like worried about what to say, but the Holy Spirit was just speaking through me, and I was like yelling, and I was like really helping her. And then she just breaks down in tears as I'm praying for her. And then I wake up and I'm like, wow, I've never done that before.
There, you're dreaming prophetically. He's going to send you people that you're not going to feel qualified to minister to, but he's sending them to you for a reason. There's a reason. If he's already showed it to you in a dream, that's what's going to happen. So when someone comes to you, it may not be the person you saw in the dream. It may even be a man. It might not be a female. But when you get that feeling of, oh, let me get Luca, let me get Solomon, let me get,
Yeah.
As soon as you get that feeling, the Holy Spirit will remind you of this dream, and you will know that this person was sent by God.
And I just need to step out on faith.
And you just open your mouth, and you just start praying with her, and him, whoever, and when something comes to your mind, you say it.
Wow.
And you don't have to say, thus saith the Lord. You can just say, I'm feeling or I'm sensing this. I mean, because when you first do it, it's scary. It's scary. So you just say, I don't know why I'm thinking this, but I'm going to say this. However you get it out there.
Because I would just be so scared that I'm going to get something wrong.
Well, it's sort of like if you're praying for her, she says, for instance, I need you to pray for me, my finances. So you start praying for her finances, and all of a sudden you think, I need to pray for cancer. I'm rebuking this cancer in her body. Then you do that, and then all of a sudden you feel like, I need to pray for her marriage. We need to pray for this marriage, and you start praying for this marriage. You don't have to say, I think you have cancer. I think your marriage is bad. You just start blessing that marriage, and you just start by, praising the Lord, and just open your mouth. He'll fill it. That's his promise. He said to Moses, he said, I will be with your mouth, and I'll give you the words to speak. And that's, you just step out on a limb and go there.
Because he was like, I'm not very good at speaking. I stutter and I don't know what to say. And yeah.
And that's kind of what you're saying right now. And I'm not ready. I wouldn't know what to say. I wouldn't know. It's not, if it's just your words, they're not any good anyway.
Yeah.
You want them to be the words of the Lord, and you just speak what he has there, and agree in prayer with them. The first one is scary, and your hands will be all sweaty, and but he's going to, that's what all this is about. All this floating, all this seeing yourself somewhere else, all this is about getting people in the kingdom. I told you that was some wild stuff. In this world, there's just things that we don't know and we don't understand, not just spiritually, but physically as well. But what we do know is anything that they did in biblical days, they were people. And if they did it, we can do it. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Catch us here next time on Dreamcatcher, and catch your dreams.